Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Crypto Watch. Happy Sunday, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great Sunday so far. Right, so if you are here live with me, right, do click on that like button so that I know that you are here live with me. Right, so today, right, we are actually going to talk about some of my trading strategies, right, some of my personal trading strategies, right, and I'll be reviewing this in very much detail, right, in great detail, right, today. Right, so today I'm actually going to talk about my personal trade, right, on Go, right, and I actually, managed to pocket, some decent amount of profit, right, from Go in just a short span of time, specifically just in 8 hours. Right. And besides that, right, I'll also be talking about, some of the crypto coins that we mentioned in the past videos, right? So specifically, Ripple as well as Bitcoin, right? So we're going through some analysis for these two coins. And in fact, they actually perform according to the trading plan, right, that I had outlined last week. Right, so all this expected and how is this done? Today, I shall be reviewing all this to all of you in this short session. Yeah, but if you are here live with me, right, once again, do click on that like button, right, so that I know that you are here live with me tonight. All right. So now, without further ado, right, for those who are seeing me for the very first time, right, yep, do give me, do bear with me, right? So I'll be giving you a brief introduction about myself, right? So I am the trade engineer, right? TTE for short. Right, so I have over 6 to 7 years of trading experience, right? I've traded numerous instruments, right, including stocks, futures, forex, and cryptocurrency, right? And I've helped numerous aspiring traders unlock their best trade and unleash the trading potential within them. And all this can be done just using some simple yet effective techniques. And today, I shall be sharing some of these simple techniques that have helped me to earn some good profits. Right, but as always, right, let me give a few disclaimers down here, right? So what accuracy information is ensured, right? No responsibility taken, right, on my part. Ideas, suggestions, examples here are just presented for reference and educational purposes only. Right, the presentation today is not intended to give any trading advice or recommendations to buy or sell, any cryptocurrency or any other trading instrument. Right, and me, I will not have any liability, right, taken for any loss or expense whatsoever. Last but not least, all copyrights reserved. Right, so without further ado, right, let me quickly go through, the main topic for today, right, which is my personal trade for gold, right? How did I actually, earn some good profits from trading gold, right? So before I delve into the details, right, let me first show you a video, right, that I've actually uploaded onto my new TikTok channel, right? All right, yep. So that's just a brief video, right, taken from my TikTok channel, right? So if you would like to see some of my other TikTok videos, right, which I actually would show later as well, you can follow me, right, if you have a TikTok account at the Trade Engineer, right. I actually just newly created this TikTok account, right, so you can just follow me there, and don't give this video a like or a love, right, as I go through in greater detail for my gold trade. Right, so let's quickly go through, right, some detailed analysis of the goal, which I've actually, really summarized in that video earlier. Right, so first of all, right, let me go through, some of these lines that are drawn down here, right, and so some of the patterns, right, that are seen. Yep, I'll go through them one by one. So first of all, right, this is something I didn't share in that video, but this is something that it was also seen in this particular chart. Right, so first of all, we saw this particular head and shoulder pattern, right? And actually, this is on the 4-hour chart for gold, right? So usually, head and shoulder pattern, it actually implies, some downside might be coming. Right, so where's the head, right? So the head is actually here, right, circled, and the shoulders, right, are actually here, right? So once, you see this kind of pattern forming, and it actually breaks this uptrend line, that's where you get the confirmation, right, where you can actually short this particular stock, right? This part is one of the trading strategies that I employ. And that's precisely what I did, right? So I saw the head and shoulders pattern, right? So I'm watching for it, and I drew this uptrend line, right? And eventually, it actually broke somewhere here, right? So you can see this uptrend line, right? It was tested numerous times in the past, right? Here there were 2 times, here a few times, right? As well as here, right? So this was the point where I entered a short position, right? So you can see that this was tested numerous times before, so there's actually a strong support. But eventually, right, it broke down here, right? So if we zoom into this portion down here, right, you can see that it tried to it actually broke quite strongly here, right, on this red candle, right, and then it tried to rebound back up, right, tried to test this uptrend line, but now it become the resistance, right? It couldn't clear it, eventually it fell. So I actually took a short position somewhere here. Right. So you see, as what I explained down here, right, it actually broke, right, that red candle, right, it covered slightly, right, it tried close below this uptrend line, right, and now it's actually this is the resistance, right. So this uptrend line used to be the support, but now at this point here, it became the resistance, right. And so I did place a short trade, right, at that point, which was corresponding to about 1925 US dollars. Right. And I also look at other indicators, right, such as the MACD, right? So this is the MACD during that time period, right? So you can see that this during the whole time period, the MACD was negative, right? So if it's negative, right, it actually implies that there is some downward momentum, right? So that is why I had this added confirmation, right, that this is going to come down. Right. So that's now how we know how I place that short entry for gold. But right, the other question, right, is you know when to enter, but when to exit, right? So that's the other question you might have, right? So how do I know when to take profits, right? So you actually see the chart, it actually went down and actually rebounded back up, right? So I actually managed to take profits before it actually went back to my entry price. But how do I know, right, when to take profits? Right, and before I proceed, right, once again, I like to urge all of you, right, to actually give this video a like or a love, right, if you are finding value in my sharing so far. Right, so let's quickly now go through, right, how I actually, knew when to take profits, right? So that comes about with this additional lines down here, right? So you can see 2 horizontal lines drawn down here. Right, so the first line, right, is actually the first horizontal support, right? This line, right, this first line down here where my cursor is, right? So that is corresponding to about a support about 1910, right? And then we had the second support, right, down here, drawn down here, right, at about 1894. So if we look back, right, this how I know this was the first support and the second support is basically you look back in time, right? Where was it, actually trading at previously, right? Where was it finding the bottom previously? So this was the first support, right? We were tested sometime before as well. And this is the second, right? It tested here and somewhere here, but this we do not know, right, at that time. So it was here, right, as well as somewhere around here, right? So this was the 2 levels, right, that I found, right? So I actually took profits. First profit was at 1910, right? And my second profit was take profit price at this price at 1894. And you can see that after it hit that second support price, right, it actually rebounded back up, right? Yep, so that it was a good trade, right? It actually exited before it actually rebounded back up. Right, so a short recap, right? So if I actually took that short entry at about 1925, right? Somewhere around here, this point down here, right? I took the first profit at the first support, right? At about $1910. that corresponds to about 1,500 pips, right? So in gold, right, just for everyone's awareness, right, $0.01 corresponds to 1 pip, right? So that is about $15 difference. So that's about 1,500 pips, right? And I took the second profit, like 1894, right? Because at the second support, right? And that was about 3,100 pips. Right. So, if I actually, you calculate the profits, right? How much could you actually make, right? So if you take about 0.1 lots, right? That would actually imply, right, 1,500 pips would mean about $150, right? And 3,100 pips would be about $310, right? So actually, 1 pip is corresponding to the number of dollars in terms of pips, right? So let's say if I use one lot, it'll be $1,500 and $3,100. Right. So it's good amount of profits, right? And that was just, in a few hours, right? Actually, it's just 8 hours, right? So it was a good trade. Yep. And I'd like to just share with all of you, right, how I actually managed to have this trade win for the week, right? Yep. And managed to get, good profits out of this trade. Yep. And, that's a brief summary of my trade win for this week, right? And you will have found value, right, in this sharing for my goal, right? And who knows, you might see some kind of it might not, if this happen in gold, but it can also happen in other instruments, right? You can apply this strategy in different various instruments, right? So I hope you find value, right, in this particular sharing so far. And if you did, right, don't forget to once again give this video a like or a love. Yep. So that concludes my sharing for Go, right? And without further ado, right, I'll be going on to the second part of my topic today, right, which is on Reaper, right? So if you have been watching my past videos, right, you have known that I have already talked about Reaper, right? In I think the past two videos, right? So I just like to share a bit more about Reaper, right? Because I basically the recent price action of Reaper has been very interesting and very exciting. Right. So if you haven't already caught my analysis for Reaper, right, I urge all of you to actually go watch it, right, to get a better idea of what I'm going to talk about, right? Yep. Do find time to check it out, and if you haven't, right, here's a quick recap, right, for my last week session. All right. Yep. So once again, right, I also uploaded this on the TikTok, right? So you can check it out, right? Yep. So once again, right, you can follow me on TikTok, right, at The Trade Engineer, right? That's my handle. And once again, right, do give this video a like or a love. Yep. And without further ado, right, let me quickly recap what I've just shown on my video, right? So as what I mentioned last week, right, we had that downtrend line, right? This is a conservative downtrend line because I was connecting the wicks of the candles, right? And you can see that actually it broke, right? And it was, became the support, right? You can see the prices were all being supported by this downtrend line, right? At that time. And the uptrend line, right? It was supported in the past, right? It's trading above now, right? So that is the second layer of support, right? We will be watching out for, as I mentioned last week. Right, and we have this horizontal resistance, right? Which was tested in the past, right? But it was resisted, right? You can see that the last week, that when I shared last week, right? The prices, were actually trading below this horizontal resistance level of about 0.85 to 0.86. Right, and we had that horizontal support, right? That was, the other layer of support that we were watching out for, right? In case this actually goes down. And we had the 20 SMA and 50 SMA, right? So as what I mentioned last week, right? This was actually, the 20 SMA was actually still higher than the 50 SMA. So that still implies there's some positive upside. And the MACD, right? The MACD was still positive, right? As what I mentioned last week, right? But we did notice that the gap was narrowing. Right. So, as what I mentioned last week, right? I had a suggested trading plan, right? So what I mentioned last week, right, was that if this conservative downtrend line, right, that are shown over here, right, if it remains supported, right, we could, actually either initiate or add long positions. And we can set, a cut loss price, slightly below this downtrend line. Right. So alternatively, right, if you are more conservative, right, you're less of a risk taker, right, you could actually wait for that more conservative horizontal resistance, right, shown over here, right, to be cleared convincingly before, adding on any long positions. Right. But I also mentioned that if the conservative downtrend line, right, or the uptrend line actually breaks convincingly, right? So this is actually the support, right? So if these two breaks convincingly, right, we do have to wait for the next support level, right, before we actually think about longing this particular coin. Right. So what happened, right, for the last week, right? So we had about 7 trading days, right, including Saturday and Sundays, right? And let's see what happened to Ripple since then. Right. So this was the day, right? So this was Sunday, last Sunday, right? The closing price was about 0.85775, right, to be exact. And you can see, right, the very next day actually jump up, right? You can see this long candle. It didn't close very well, but it did hit a high, right, of about 0.91125 to be exact, right? Just one day later. Right. So we calculate the percentage gain, right? So let's say, if you actually entered on Sunday, right, after our sharing, right, and you took profits, around on Monday, right? Maybe you didn't put at the high, right? But maybe you took near the high, right? So if you calculate this percentage gain, right, it's actually a 6% gain. Right. And I hope, some of you might have taken action, right? If not, right, it's okay, right? I think, trading is not for everyone, right? But if you make some money out of this, congratulations, right? For earning this, pocket money, I say, yeah, for in just one day. Right. And if we look back, right, my previous sharing, right, in my previous sharing, I also did mention, right, that, in the previous Sunday, right, we actually managed to gain about 7%, right, in just 2 days. So if we look back, right, we gained 7%, right, in the previous week and 6%, right, in just last week, right. So there was 2 consecutive weeks of gain, right, just for this particular coin. Right. Yep. So I hope some of you have made money out of this, right? And let's quickly go through, right, what happened this week, right? But once again, right, before I go into the details, if you are finding value, right, in this video so far, do give this video a like or a love. Right. So let's quickly go through, right, this updated analysis for the week. Right, so this is the updated price chart, right? The daily price chart for Ripple with the updated prices, right? So let's quickly go through, some of these lines that I've drawn, right? So it looks very complicated, but don't worry, I'll go through them one by one. Right, so we have this, same conservative downtrend line that I showed just now, right? So you could see, right, this was the past week, right? It did remain supported, right? It actually went up, right? It hit a high, right? And then it came back down, and now it is, supported by this conservative downtrend line yet again. Right, and we have this uptrend line, right? The same uptrend line, right? So previously it was quite far away from this uptrend line, right? But recently, right, it has come back down and it has tested this uptrend line again, right? You can see here there's a big red candle, right? That actually threatened to break this uptrend line, but it didn't, right? And it still remains supported. Right, and we had that horizontal resistance down here, right, at 0.85 to 0.86. Right, so previously, right, we were mentioning this horizontal resistance, it's still trading below this horizontal resistance, right? And eventually it broke, right? It actually broke on Monday, right? This day over here, right? And it actually moved up quickly, it hit that high of 0.91, right? So this was the horizontal resistance, right? But now it has came back down, right? And it is, now the horizontal resistance yet again. Yep. And we had that next horizontal resistance level at 0.91, right, which was tested in the past, right? So it just hit, right, on that very day, right? Just one day, right, at 0.91, right? And once it hit this resistance level, right, it immediately retraced, right? So it was a strong resistance point, right? So this resistance might be the level to watch out for, right? If it eventually breaks, you might actually see a sustained upside for this coin. Right, and the 20 SMA and the 50 SMA, right? Although the gap is narrowing, right? But we do see that the 20 SMA still continues to be above the 50 SMA, right? Which is a good sign, right? For the entire week, right? Although the gap is still small, but it is still above it. So it still implies that there's still that upside momentum, right, for this particular coin. Right, and the MACD, right? So you can see the early part, most part of the week, it was positive, right, for the MACD, right? But recently, right, in the last few trading days, right, it actually just turned negative. So that is something for us to watch out for, right? Whether this, will be sustained, right? Will it continue to go down to be negative, right? Or will it actually, cross over to become the positive region, right? So that is something for us to take note of. Right. So what does the future hold, right, for Ripple? Right. And once again, right, before I go into the details, right, if you're finding value in this video so far, right, don't forget to give this video a like or a love. Right. So let's quickly go through, right, what the future holds for Ripple. What are the things to look out for this particular coin? So once again, we have this conservative downtrend line, right? So it has, it has been trading above this downtrend line, right? So it has been this has been the strong support, right? But recently, as I mentioned, it is being tested now yet again, right? So whether this continues to remain as a strong support, right, remains to be seen, right? Because now it is just quite a short distance away from this downtrend line. And we have the uptrend line, right? This uptrend line is also acting as a support, right? So it has also just recently tested this support also, right? So will it continue to be supported? That is the question to be asking, right? I think what the main thing here, right, is that we had this red candle that actually tested both of these lines, right? This conservative downtrend line as well as this uptrend line. Right, and horizontal resistance, right? So it actually cleared, right, that day, right, last Monday, right? But now it is trading below this line yet again, right? It has come down because of this red candle, right? And the question now is whether it can clear this once again, right? Whether it can clear this for further upside. Right, and the second horizontal resistance down here, right? So it immediately hit that on Monday, right? Whether it can actually break through it eventually, that is the question to ask, right? If it can, right, then it might imply further upside in the midterm. Yep, and the 20 SMA and 50 SMA, right? We should continue seeing this 20 SMA to be more than the 50 SMA, right? For this particular coin to remain bullish. Yep, and what I mentioned about MACD, right? It has the negative, so that is a concern, right? In for this particular coin, right? Hopefully, it can turn back, right, to the positive region, right? If not, we do have to watch out for this coin becoming bearish. Right, and that's just a quick summary, right, of what to look out for Ripple if you're interested in actually trading or investing in Ripple, right, in the near future. Right, and if you have found value once again, right, do give this video a like or a love. All right. And now let's go on to the last part of my sub presentation today, right? Which is none other than Bitcoin, right? So as always, I always would do a review or analysis, right, on Bitcoin. Right, and if you haven't already done so, right, do check out my previous analysis, right, in all my previous videos, right. I've done Bitcoin since the very first day, right. So this is something to watch out for if you are interested, right, on what is to come for Bitcoin, right. Yep. So before I go through the details of Bitcoin, let me first, show you a video right on my TikTok channel for Bitcoin. All right. Yep. So that is a brief summary of what I actually went through last week, and I'll actually go through in detail now, right? But once again, right, do follow me on my TikTok, right, at that handle, and do give this video a like or a love. Right. So let's quickly recap, right, what I mentioned for Bitcoin last week, right? So first of all was that resistance level down here, right? So this was at about 45,300 to 45,500, right? So previously it was the support, right? But now it has turned the resistance level, right? You can see it was tested numerous times before in the past, right? And it's challenging the resistance level again, right? Whether it can cross over this for eventual upside is the question that we have to ask, right? And we had that new uptrend line, right? That was drawn last week, right? Whether this can remain supported, right, is also the question, right? Right, and we had that horizontal support level, right, shown over here, right? 39,600 to 39,700, right? So this is this horizontal support level, right, is something to watch out for if this uptrend line actually breaks, right? So actually, previously we were mentioning this line quite often because it was, trading below this line, but now it has turned the support because it's now trading above this horizontal line. Right, and the MACD, right, it was positive last week, right, and increasingly so. Whether it can remain positive, right, in the future trading days was the question we asked last week as well. Right, so what did we suggest, last week, right? So what I suggested last week was actually, it was looking very good for a long position, right? So we could actually add or initiate long position if there was a breakout, right, from that horizontal resistance level, right? And also if the MACD actually remains positive, right? Yep, but on the downside, right, if the uptrend line actually is broken, right, we should actually wait for the next support level. Right, so let's quickly go through, right, what happened in the last week, right? This is the updated chart for Bitcoin, right, on the daily time frame, right? So on the 27th of March, right, on the Sunday, right, last Sunday, it actually was very bullish, right? You can see this green candle. It actually broke that horizontal resistance level that I mentioned at 45,500. And it actually hit the high price, right? A high price on the very next day, 28th of March, right, at about $48,119. So that's about a 6% gain. I hope some of you might have taken action, right, and earn some money out of Bitcoin. Yep, and if you look back at our last week video, right, we also saw that I had also illustrated this 9% gain, right, in the last week, right. So we actually total up, the consolidate the percentage gains for the past 2 weeks, right. We actually gained 9% last week and 6%, the 9% the previous week and 6% last week, right. That's some good gains over here, and hope all you make some money out of it. Right, so let's quickly go through, right, the analysis, right, for this particular Bitcoin, right. Right, so this was the particular day, right, on the 27th of March, Sunday, right. So it actually, went according to my trading plan, right. So what I mentioned was, if it crosses that resistance level, right, we could actually turn bullish, right. So actually, you can see that it actually crossed that resistance of 45,300 to 45,500, right. So actually shown by this middle line down here, right, where my cursor, where my laser pointer is, right? So it actually cleared this very convincingly with this very bullish green bar, right? So we could actually, entered on this breakout, right? And you can see that, this uptrend line remained supported, right, for this entire week, right? It has recently come back down to, test this uptrend line. But for that beginning of the week, it was, very much supported, right? Right, and it actually, why it actually retraced back down from here is also because it actually hit the next resistance level, right? So this was the next resistance level, about 48,000, right? So you can see that it was, previously tested before, right? So this was the resistance level, right? And you can see that the whole week, right, MACD actually remained positive, right? That's a brief update, right, of what happened last week, right? With the updated trading days, right? So what do we have to look forward, right, for Bitcoin in the future, right? So if you haven't really, entered, this might be something that interests you, right? Right. So once again, right, we do have to watch out for this level, right? Because although it has cleared, right, this 45,300 to 45,500, right, it cleared on Sunday, right? It hit that top second resistance level. It retraced back down, and now it is, hitting, it is being it hit this level once again, right? So this is the support level, right, to watch out for now, right? Whether it threatened to break on this day, right, but actually went back up next trading day, right? So that is something to watch out for, right? Whether this can remain supported, right? And with this uptrend line, right? So once again, right, it also threatened to break this line, right? And that was on the 1st of April, right? But eventually actually closed above it, right? And the next trading day on 2nd April, actually, continued to stay above this uptrend line, right? So that's a good sign. That could imply that, this uptrend line is still remains supported, right? But we do have to make sure that this continues to be the support, right? And it doesn't break below this uptrend line. Right, and eventually, right, if we want to move even further up, we do have to see a clearance for this second resistance level, right, at about 48,000, right. So that's the next level to watch out for, right. It was, it does seem like there's some resistance down here since there's some retracement, right, recently, right. So if Bitcoin will want to scale new heights, right, it has to clear this second resistance level. Right, but as with everything, right, there could be downside. Bitcoin might break down, right? So we do have to watch out, and if it does break down, right, if it does break the support, as well as the uptrend line, right, we do have to watch for the next support level, and the next support is probably somewhere around here, right? So this was the previous resistance level, right, about 42,500 to 42,600, right? But now since it's trading above this line, right, and if this actually breaks down, we might be seeing prices testing this next support level, right? So do take note of this, right? In case we do see a breakdown of Bitcoin, right? And MACD, right? So MACD for this whole period of time is positive, right? But you do notice, right? There's some narrowing a gap recently, right? That is a bit of a concern. Hopefully, it doesn't cross in the negative region. But if it does, then you do have to watch out for any bearish momentum, right, for Bitcoin, right? But if it continues to be positive, right, that's a good sign, and Bitcoin might continue to trend upwards. And one more thing to take note of is the RSI, right? So you can see the RSI has recently, nearly reached oversold level. It hasn't really crossed that 70 mark, right? But it is approaching that oversold level, right? So, or rather, actually, overbought level, right? So that's a mistake down there, right? So actually, we do have to be cautious, right? If it hits down here, right, there might be some retracement, right? Because people might want to take profits, right, for this. Right. So what is my suggested trading plan for this upcoming week, right? So here is my own plan, but as always, right, do your own due diligence, right? Do not take my words for granted, right? It's just my own opinion, right? So first of all, right, if you are a high risk taker, right, you could initiate a long position, right, if the support holds, right, and the support meaning that uptrend line as well as the horizontal support level, right, both of them must be supported convincingly. Yeah, but if you are lower risk taker, you want to wait for more confirmation, right? Then we should wait for that confirmation, right, of the clearance of that horizontal resistance that was tested, right, previously, right, in the past at 48,000, right? If you can clear this level, right, then we could place, a long entry, right? But of course, at the same time, right, we do have to take note, we do have to look at this RSI and the MACD, right? Because as what I mentioned, there is some narrowing a gap in MACD and the RSI is nearing the overbought levels. Right, and that concludes my sharing, right, for Bitcoin, right? So if you have found value in my sharing so far, yep, once again, right, do give this video a like or a love. Right, and to end off the session for today, right, just some reminders, right? So do join me on my Facebook group, right, for some of my other resources as well as my other sharing, right, on other instruments, be it stocks, futures, forex, etc. Right, and just a reminder as well, right, do answer the membership questions right before applying, before clicking the apply button. Right, and I also other social media pages, right? So for those of you who are joining me for the first time, right, you can follow me on some of my social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, right? And for those of you who have been joining me for a very long time, right, be tuning in every week, right? I just added this TikTok channel, right? So do follow me on my TikTok channel as well, where I'll give I'll give some summary, right, of some of my trades as well as some of my videos that I made, right? So you can always find me there, right? You get some brief insights, right, of what I'm looking at and what I'm sharing. Right. And last but not least, right, if you like my sharing for today, right, don't forget to click the like or love button, right, for this video. Right? And also, do leave a comment below, right, on what you think of my sharing today, as well as share this video with other people whom you think might benefit from my sharing. Right. And with that, right, I've concluded my session for today. I hope all you have gleaned something out of this, right, both for my gold trade as well as for Ripple and Bitcoin, right? So with that, yep, that will conclude my session. And I wish everyone a very good night and a very good week ahead, right? See you guys next week at the same time, right, on Sunday, 9:30 p.m. Right. See you guys and good night.